siempre abriendo las puertas de este hogar. Y hoy quiero nada más recordarte que ante todas las cosas siempre hay mucho que por agradecer en la vida. Y hoy es un día para mí muy especial. En primera, porque tengo una persona que me ha inspirado desde que nació, me ha dado la fuerza para seguir adelante, me ha demostrado que a través de los retos podemos siempre sobresalir, pero sobre todo también aprender y destacar. Y hoy quiero invitarles a que se queden con nosotros en esta conversación que va a ser desde el corazón. Nada es planeado, simplemente pláticas que transforman. Y hoy quiero invitarles a que conozcan un poquito más de la vida de Atala, pero sobre todo también de Marcus. Marcus, bienvenido. Un placer tenerte aquí.
Gracias por la invitación, es un honor.
Es un honor. Primero que nada quiero decirles que hoy tengo mucho por agradecer y también compartir. Primero que nada, pues mi hijo ha sido una de mis experiencias más hermosas de la vida. Es la persona que me ha invitado a crecer de muchas maneras, a veces hasta inconscientemente, pero sobre todo la persona que más me ha transformado como mujer, como persona, como madre. Hoy quiero invitarlos a que conozcan un poquito más de nuestra vida real. No solamente lo que a veces ustedes ven en la pantalla, la persona que siempre está sonriendo, la persona que también tiene problemas, que la persona que también ha llorado, que también ha tenido muchos retos en la vida, pero sobre todo también la que también ha sabido transformar esos retos a través de la fe. Y Marcos, yo quiero preguntarte hoy,
Dime.
Quiero que platiques un poquito, ¿qué ha sido tu vida? ¿Cómo ha sido tu vida desde chiquito? ¿Qué fue lo que te recuerdas de esos momentos, esas pláticas que siempre hemos tenido? ¿Cuál sería uno de ellos?
Mira, yo me acuerdo, pues de los 2 años, o sea, mis papás se divorciaron cuando yo tenía 2 años. Nací en Estados Unidos, en Houston, pero cuando se divorciaron me fui a México. Entonces, de una edad pequeña tenía supe la importancia de la familia. Mi mamá, pues era una mamá soltera, estaba trabajando en la Ciudad de México, pero también viajaba mucho. Entonces, yo me acuerdo que era muy apegado a mis abuelitos. Mis abuelitos eran mis segundos papás para mí. Entonces, como te comento, de esa edad, pues no nada más era mamá, pero también los tíos, los primos, o sea, la importancia de la familia. Y es algo que, como ha comentado desde una edad pequeño, aprendí que así es la cultura latina y es algo que me encanta. O sea, me fascina eso hasta la fecha. O sea, yo soy muy agradecido por la familia, sino que la familia es todo. Sé que en Estados Unidos es un poco más diferente a la cultura, en el sentido de que te marcó una vez cada 3 meses, ¿no? O algo así.
Sí, a veces pasa
Ajá,
eso,
justo,
¿no?
justo. Pero pues, por ejemplo, la relación con mi mamá es cada día. Y no es como que hay otros y mi mamá está marcando, no, para nada, es de que, ¿cómo estuvo tu día? O, ¿qué te pasó? Entonces es algo que estoy muy agradecido, pero es algo que desde una edad pequeña he aprendido y estoy muy agradecido por eso.
Y dime una cosa, Marcos, yo sé que estás haciendo el español porque
Sí.
tu lenguaje, tu idioma principal es el inglés,
Claro,
pero ¿sabes
claro.
una cosa? Yo creo que ante todo es esa resiliencia que tenemos, el ir con todo en la vida, el tener un problema y ver cómo lo vamos a transformar, qué vamos a aprender de esto.
Claro.
Yo quiero que platiques un poquito acerca de cuál ha sido un momento que para ti recuerdas que siempre cuando pasa un momento difícil dices, voy con todo. ¿Qué es ese momento o cuál sería ese valor que realmente ha sido muy presente en tu vida?
Pues yo creo que ahorita toda mi etapa de la uni ha sido un poco así. Yo decidí en 2019 irme al extranjero. O sea, como he comentado, soy de Houston, pero los últimos 5 años he estado estudiando en Puebla, en México. Y pues yo me fui solo. O sea, sí, obviamente tuve los apoyos de mis papás y todo así, pero es diferente pues viendo a tus papás todos los días que literal estar en otro país donde en un sentido todavía no dominaba el idioma, donde no tenía amistades todavía, donde era literal una vida pues totalmente distinto y nuevo. Entonces sí me pegó un poquito eso y ha tenido pues ups and downs como cualquier cosa en la vida. Pero pues gracias a Dios, pues mi mamá me ha enseñado mucho de la fe desde una edad pequeño, el apoyo que me ha dado mi mamá, mi papá, mis abuelos, tíos, tías, o sea, todo. Eso es lo que me ha ayudado pues como seguir adelante en esas etapas difíciles.
Y dime una cosa, vamos a cambiar un poquito, vamos a hablar un poquito en inglés también.
Okay.
I want you to really tell me something. What
Yeah.
is one of the most difficult moments in your life that you say, this was very difficult and I even didn't know how to handle?
Ooh, that's crazy. I'll probably say right now. So, I play football in college, and some little political things happened to where I had already signed my scholarship, and I lost in a way. They just basically didn't keep their word and think that was going to happen. So for me, it was just like from one day to another. It was first yes, then no. I don't know what happened. They never gave me reasoning, but it was kind of like that. football was my identity for so long. I've been playing it since I was 9. My dad played it. My dad played college in the States. He played a little bit NFL. So it was something that I kind of just grew up knowing. And when that was taken away from me from one day to the next, it was like a shock. You know, I didn't really know how to process it. And I think for me was that ever since I was a kid, I didn't want my parents to ever have to worry about paying for school or anything like that. Like for me, since I was a little kid, I told myself, I'm gonna earn me a scholarship. I'm gonna work my butt off for a scholarship. And I did that. I did that for my undergrad, and I also did that to an extent for my master's until it got taken away from me, sadly. So when I wasn't able to fulfill, you know, having my 100% scholarship for my master's, that like kind of hit me in a way, you know, because even though, thank God, I have the support from my mom, my dad, they always told me, if your dream is to do the master's, pursue it. I mean, it doesn't matter what. You've already helped us pay for the undergrad, so don't worry about that. But for me, since as a small kid, I had that already like mentality drained in my brain, kind of. It was kind of like, I felt like a failure in a way. It was kind of hard for me to, you know, process not fulfilling a dream that I had for so long, of not putting that burden on my parents in a way, to kind of like doing that on my own. So I think that was probably like one of the difficult. That just happened a couple of weeks ago. So that
That's
was probably,
right. And I want you to know something, you know, because this is resilience. Life is about, you know, facing those moments that they are so difficult that sometimes we don't have the answers. Sometimes we're looking for answers, but we don't have it. So what I was the other day telling you is like, when you have a dream, a purpose, nobody can take away from you. No an institution, not your mom, not your dad, not your past, not your future. This belongs to you. And one of the most important things that I want you to know is, and I also want you to always remember this, and whoever is watching us later on, is that we have tools in ourselves that we can always use. And one of them could be also develop your faith. Develop your faith, because when you have trials, you can always untap to that faith, cultivate it every day, and that will keep you moving, and that will give you even peace as well. So something else that I want you to just share a little bit, if you can, what is one of the most important, not just moments in your life, but one that you remember, a very good memory that you have when you were a child, and that you say, every time that I go back to that memory, I feel happy again? What could be that memory?
I mean, I was always a very happy kid. So for me, it was just going outside to play with my friends, you know, or just playing little kid games, hide and seek. I remember when we had first moved into our apartment, and we didn't have any furniture yet. We didn't have anything. And
this is important, because a lot of people know and a lot of people doesn't know. This boy allowed me to come back here to the United States when he was 5 years old. And I remember one of the most beautiful times, because it was about enjoying the present moment, day by day, moment by moment. And honestly, you told me so many things, you know, but I want you to remember this, that those moments in where you don't know where to go, there is preparation for life. And I always mention to you that, because that's exactly the moment that God is transforming something in you deeper. It's giving you a higher purpose, different perspective, a bigger vision. But you have to be patient, and you have to be willing to go through the process to understand what is the real purpose behind. You were saying something before.
So I was basically saying that, so I remember, we had just moved to an apartment. I had some friends that I had made in school, you know, my new school and stuff. And I wanted to invite them over. And Mom was like, well, what are you, like, she kind of like felt bad, because she was like, what we don't, like, y'all have nowhere to sit.
We don't have anything, we had
nothing. We had nothing. But to me, it was like, Mom, we don't care about that. We just want to play, you know, just be kids and just spend time with each other. And my mom was like, okay, well, if you insist, you know. And I was like, yeah, of course, like, we're not gonna be picky about it. So I remember they came over, and it was like one of the best times we had. even though we were just playing wrestling on the carpet, whatever, it was fun. So for me,
that's important.
Exactly. Said. You don't have to have everything in the world, but it's like how you see the world through your own eyes, you know.
And that's one of the moments that I always remember, because sometimes as an adults, we put so much stuff in our mind that we are not allowing ourselves to enjoy the present moment, to be simple in life, to live lighter in life too. And that's one of the moments that I always remember. And when I go back and say, that moment transformed many things in my life, because life should be about facing with open heart, with open mind, about being really grateful for the little things that we have, for the big things that comes later on, but especially for just being able to even breathe, to create from there, from that present moment. Now tell me, Marcos, something that you wanted to just kind of, what is one of your dreams that I know which it is, but I want you to share with the audience? What is one of your dreams that you say, this is what I can see, this is my vision, this is my call in life?
So since I was like I said, I always, as a kid, always had like a pretty positive mindset. Thanks to my mom, I feel like I've always just been positive. I always saw the best, the nice things in life, even though it could be bad or whatever. But I always told myself I was gonna be successful. And for me, like I said, my dream was to get my undergrad paid for. I still have a certain scholarship for my master's, so in a way I was able to fulfill that. But it's basically to just study as much as I can, get a good job. I also want to, in my last semester, I would like to study in a different country still. I feel like traveling, and that's something my mom has taught me a lot too, just looking at different cultures, it opens your eyes to a different perspective in the world. And I feel that's one of the biggest and the greatest blessing that you can have is to just, be able to travel and learn different culture, learn how other people's mindsets are. And yeah, so I would like to study in Australia, Melbourne, my last semester, and then come back home and just work. I would like to maybe get into medical sales. That's something that my dad pursued when he was younger, and like he's also been a really big role model for me. So I would like to start that, but I would also like to start my own businesses. I would like to open maybe a Mexican restaurant in Houston maybe one day, and different little projects I'd like to get into. But it's basically just my dream is just work my butt off so I can also give back to my family, my mom, my dad, my grandma, just to my family. For me, without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So I'm forever grateful for them.
Thank you so much, Marcos. I always say something to him, do your best. One day you're going to pay back to your kids, to people who surround you, to maybe to your employees, to community, to society, to humanity. Because at the end of the day, whatever we're doing today has a domino side effect in other people's lives. So we have to always be able to say, I am doing this because I have a call. We have a daily call. Well, I don't know if I say daily call or on daily basis, but anyhow. So one of the most important things, Marcos, that I also would like to share with you, to just share with the audience is you mentioned something about trips. It's true, since I was able to go back to United States, start just getting more stable. I always say my parents gave me the opportunity to travel the world and open my eyes. So I say, one of the things that I can give you as a legacy is travel, but of course, values. So let's talk a little bit about traveling.
Yeah.
What was one of the most beautiful, trips that you remember?
We've been all over the place, thankfully. For me, one that really, I really like Switzerland. Switzerland was really nice.
What do you like about Switzerland?
I'm very big on nature. So for me, like Switzerland was just the mountains, the lakes. Another one was Poland, the Eye of the Sea. It was basically it was supposed to be like a 2-hour hike, but my mom loved to take pictures and videos. So it was probably like 4 or 5 hours. And I just remember I was a little kid. I had small legs, so I was getting tired really fast.
But you could learn a lesson right there.
I did. Everything is worth it in life. Nothing good comes easy. That was kind of like my lesson I learned from that.
Tell them why, because maybe they say, why do you say that?
Yeah. So I just wanted to give up. At one point, I was like, I don't even want to go up all the way. Aquí déjame, o sea, ya me quedo aquí. And so when we finally made it to the top, it was the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen in my life. It was gorgeous, it was breathtaking. So for me, it was like, wow, even though it was a pain, my legs are tired, I don't want to walk anymore. It was completely worth it. And another one, this was in Mexico, did this trip on my own, but I went to La Malinche in Puebla, which is one of the highest mountains in, one of the highest mountains in Mexico. It was really nice, but that was like a 7-hour hike. So for me, I love, just nature, seeing different sceneries, like I mentioned. And that was one of the coolest trips too. We also been to Venice, been to Rome, Paris.
Let me ask you, what did you learn about traveling? Open your eyes, give you different perspectives. But what else?
It's kind of like, I don't know. I would just say just the different cultures, the way that other cultures enjoy life. So, for example, one thing that I mentioned, I like different from United States and Mexico is that in Mexico, something I always see is that people might not have everything in the world, but they know how to enjoy life and they're grateful and happy with what they have, you know?
True.
I mean, I feel like in the United States, sometimes people are like, well, if I don't have this car, if I don't have this, if I don't have this by this age, then I'm basically not doing good in life. But the mentality is different. So I feel like a lot of society, they put unnecessary pressure on ourselves.
True.
That can take a toll on you, you know? So some people don't know how to really live with that pressure. And I don't know, maybe it could also be like the way you was raised, you know, the pressure from your parents and stuff like that. But I don't know, in Mexico, I just feel like people are more enjoying the present, maybe not as focused or not as worried about the future. I used to really worry about the future when I was younger.
I remember you.
Yeah.
He was used to be so stressed,
I used to be
about,
stressed, yeah.
you know, sometimes getting the best grades. I mean, even he was studying hard. But I think that's part of getting to know more yourself, you know, how to deal with the stress, how to deal sometimes with our minds, you know, how to deal with those kind of expectations from others, because at the end of the day, the most important is about getting to know more about ourselves.
I really believe that's a process. I feel like everybody takes time. I'm still learning to this day. There's people who still 34 years old. I mean, there's not a time limit to when you should know, have your whole life figured out. I mean, it's your first time living this life too, just like everybody else. So nobody's ever going to be perfect, but through the ups and downs, you learn, you know? So yeah, that's like my mentality. I like to live. I used to, like my mom mentioned, I used to be really stressed. I used to always worry about the future, but tomorrow's not promised. So enjoy the present, make the best of this day, and say if you had a terrible day tomorrow, this is the last day. I mean, what's today's date? Today is what?
What's today's date? You don't even know.
Today is July 30th, 2025. You will never live July 30th, 2025 ever again. So after this day is over, leave it how it is. It's done. Move on to July. Well, tomorrow's probably August. So move on to August 1st, 2025, and just keep it like that. So yeah, that's some mentality I like to adapt, and that little by little I've been learning. So,
you know, one of the things that I can truly say that connection is so important. I have been able to have a great connection with my son since he was a little kid, you know. Deep conversation, we always have deep conversation because that was the way that I was raised, maybe, or that's my nature. But one of the most important things that I always enjoy with you is the simplicity in life. You know, that simplicity makes things bigger and greater, especially because sometimes it's about just talking about a certain thing, but sometimes it's just about just watching a movie. Sometimes it's about, Mom, I wanted to discuss this with you. I always think that as a parents, we need to always develop that connection with our kids, no matter the age, because they can be 24, they can be 5 years old, and they also need that direction. That love need to be expressed. That values that we have need to be cultivated in their lives, because that's what we can actually confront life. The toughest moment can be confronted by connection. I really believe so. Tell me a little bit about what is that? What does mean connection with your parents or with yourself, or connection with God for you?
For me, as well, with your parents is just being open with them, having that trust, you know? I mean, for example, it's okay to, you know, I feel like sometimes people confuse, like, I'm your parent and not your friend, but I feel like if you have a good balance of that, it works good. Because I mean, I feel like a lot of kids are nervous to talk to their parents about things that they are going through in life. And you know, I feel like as a job as a parent is obviously you have more experience, you know, more wisdom and stuff. So when your child is going through something that's maybe it's tough on them, I mean, that's what parents are there for, you know, is to hold you by your hand and help and guide you through those obstacles and those tough paths in life. So yeah, connection for me is having trust, being able to feel comfortable to express yourself. I feel that's one of like the biggest things about that relationship. But more like what's important about having that relationship between a son or a daughter and a parent. So
what about the connection with God?
With God, God works in mysterious ways. So for me, it's about just attempting to talk to him. I know people can basically say like he doesn't listen to me, or you know, I lost my faith. But it's just if you believe like a little mercy, you can move mountains. That's something that's always stuck with me since I was little.
So share an example about faith, Marcus. A true example about faith. We have been going through tough times.
Yeah.
Many things. One, I would say, when my dad was kidnapped. That was a very tough time for ourselves. He was like 9 years old, maybe. and I got this news, and I even didn't know how to respond. That was resilient time. That was very, a moment of fear, a moment of doubt. However, I learned something also. Faith moves mountains, even in those very difficult moments. And I remember that we used to pray together, and remember how you used to bring me the tea and how you used to hug me. And those moments where I was so fragile, honestly speaking. But also, God uses sometimes our kids. I remember, Marcos, when one day before my dad was, thank God, delivered, you told me, Mom, Papa Pep is going to come back. And
that was crazy.
I remember those moments, I
I
remembered your voice. I remembered you were always so cheerful. And I always was so strong in my faith. Like, I know he's coming back. But I want you to share a little bit about how did you process those moments, Marcos?
It was kind of
that
crazy.
they have not been easy at all.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because, in the example con Papa Pepe, when he was kidnapped, when you told me, I didn't feel nervous. Y eso que that's like my second father. I love Papa Pepe, que paz descanse y todo. Pero yeah, I wasn't nervous. And I don't know why I wasn't nervous. I don't know if it was just God kind of like telling me everything's going to be okay. Have faith in me, trust in everything that's happening. Like, everything's going to be okay. And I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared or nothing like that. I was really calm. Like I said, I don't know, maybe if it was also kind of like me seeing my mom in a vulnerable state. So it was kind of like, well, let me distract her. Let me make her smile. Let me relax her a little bit. But yeah, I remember literally the day before, I was like, Mom, everything's going to be okay. He's literally going to arrive tomorrow in a taxi. And it's not like I knew that. It's just something that I
But
felt.
literally,
and literally he arrived the
happened.
next day in a taxi. So, and he was perfectly fine. Not a scratch on him, thank God. Everything was okay. But it was just kind of like something I just felt in my gut. And I don't know, just kind of like God spoke through me. And I just was calm, thankfully, because like I said, I can overthink sometimes. I can be stressed about situations, but in that time, I was honestly calm. I knew that everything's gonna be okay, and that nothing was gonna happen.
Thank you for sharing that, because sometimes we see people again always smiling. I think everybody goes through difficult times in life, but the most important is about when we go back and look at our stories. We need to also remember that those stories shape our mind, our heart, our purpose in life. And the important thing also is like we're being also examples of how our kids gonna be dealing in their lives as well. So I wanted to just share something about what is one of the moments that really creates some kind of impact in your life, very positive, maybe a person, maybe a conversation, maybe, I don't know, maybe something that say, Mom, until now, I remember this person, or I remember this situation that always kept me going. What could be that moment?
Shoot, for me, it would be, again, Papa Pepe. My grandpa, I think, was about like 91, 92 at this
92.
time. Yeah, 92. And I remember a dream of mine was always for my grandparents, allow them to see me play football. And we was playing in Monterey, actually. And I remember it was a championship game, literally the last game of the regular school, the postseason. And we had lost. And I was a freshman, I was crying, my eyes out. I was so sad. Estaba aguitado. And I just remember after the game, I looked to the stands and I see my grandpa little by little just taking baby steps, walking down the stadium to come to the field and give me a hug. And for me, that's just a core memory of mine. For him to just fly all the way out there, knowing that it sometimes hurts for him to walk long distances, and just seeing him little by little walking down the stairs to come see me, that was one of like the greatest gifts I could ever had. So I'll never forget that. That's a core memory of mine. I literally can just relive it just thinking about it. So for me, that was one of the greatest memories of mine, to be
Beautiful.
honest.
And you know what? We have all memories. And that's one of the most important things. When we train our mind to choose the most beautiful memories, we can go back to that moment and we can actually change the chemistry in our body. We can smile again. We can feel happy. We can feel at peace. So that's one of the most important things, training your mind, because nobody's responsible for our thoughts. We spend 24 hours constantly thinking something, but if we train our mind to choose once, twice, like when you are working out, you have to develop that muscle, right?
Exactly.
That strength, that capacity to choose, to go, to keep moving. It's the same thing with our mind. So this is beautiful memory, which
Thank
I
you.
didn't know that, by the way.
Yeah,
You know?
that's fine.
But now let me ask you something, Marcus. What do you could tell to people, to young kids, or even parents that sometimes they don't have connection with their kids?
Mhm.
What would be your advice to them?
Simple, the easiest answer is just make the effort. I know you could probably say I don't have the time. I'm very busy, this and that. All it takes is a minute to make a call, to check up on somebody, to just hear their voice, to just let that person know that you're thinking about them. So I feel like if you just make that effort or that start, that's what's going to open the doors to having a better communication with your son, or showing that, that you care about them. Because I feel like a lot of times people, they're like, they just forget, like, I'll hit them up next week, or I'll hit them up, whenever. But like I said, tomorrow's never promised. You never know what that person is going through, or how much of an impact that 1 minute call can make. So I feel like that's something that just by starting off by doing that, I feel like I can make a big difference.
Very nice. So action.
Exactly.
Right?
Take action. Take action.
Make the phone call,
Make the
which is
call.
true. Listen to your intuition, because it's
Exactly.
important. Many times, just because you have a person in your mind doesn't mean anything. Absolutely not. That's mean that something happened maybe with that person. You know what? I remember one of my best friends also. One day I was calling her and calling her. She was not picking up the phone. And my heart was like, call her, text her. And I continue. Finally, she picked up the phone and say, Atala, never, never ignore your intuition. I'm going through blah blah blah, a lot of things. So that's something that we all can do at the same time, right? And you never know how you can help somebody in difficult moments, just for following that. So now tell me a little bit about what is one of the most important, I would say, values that you apply in your life.
So, like I said, I come from a football dad. So since I was a little kid, his mentality has always been, it's always fourth down and inches. So for those who don't know anything about football, so you have basically 4 opportunities to make a first down. A first down is like another opportunity. I like to see like another opportunity in life. In the game, it's another opportunity to advance in the game. So when he always used to tell me, live life like it's 4 down inches. So where's your last opportunity? Well, your last opportunity, and you literally have inches away to basically staying alive in a way. So I always like to live, even though adversity can sometimes be in pain in the butt, I embrace adversity because I feel like it just forms more character. If it, for example, right now, my situation with my school, the scholarship, in the moment that it happened to me, it was the biggest thing in my life. For me, it was like my world had ended in a way. But I know that this little thing that's affecting me at 24 years old, I'll be laughing about it when I'm 26, 27, 28. This little situation is nothing to what might happen in the future when I have big responsibilities, when I have a kid, when I have a wife, when I have, things to take care of. So I always like to say, just live life like it's 4 down in inches, embrace adversity because it's going to only help you. It's only going to build you. Even though, yes, you could say it'll hurt you in the moment or, it can bring you down. Well, it doesn't hurt you, make you stronger. It doesn't break you, make you stronger. How the saying goes, I don't know. So, just learn to take the best from each worst situation. I never like to live life in regret and nothing. So even though, yes, I could have said, if I would have done this, then maybe this would have been an outcome. No, like your life is planned out already. I always like to say that you're the author of your own book. So in real time, you're writing your own story. Maybe I had already finished a chapter of, having this scholarship, and maybe God's plan was like, God doesn't like to give everything to his warriors, like if you don't have to work for it, then God doesn't get what was the word? Tracy had told me this. I forgot it. Shout out to Tracy. But yeah, he wants you to work through everything in life so that you can, in a way, build your faith towards him and just be a better person in a way. So that's like what my mentality will be. Just accept adversity and just keep pushing forward.
And I want you to tell something now that people who are going to be listening later. Yeah, sometimes life brings us these challenges, when you grow with this mentality, when you always plan for this specific goal in your mind, and, you work so hard, sometimes for whatever situation it take away, that doesn't mean that your dream needs to go away. That means that you can figure out, you can actually find resources, work differently, think differently to keep moving forward to your purpose. That's the important thing. I remember when you told me, Mom, the institution took away my dream. I'm sorry, nobody can take away, and nobody can take away your purpose. Yeah. That's the same thing that happens when you go into difficult moments, when you're losing a loved one, when you're losing maybe in your financial situation. When you maybe move to another country, when you are many trials we can embrace, but at the end of the day, we need to also understand that life happens. How do I want to think, to feel in this specific moment?
Exactly.
It's not just about the situation because we're reacting always. It's about responding. It's about getting to know more ourselves as well. So, Marcus, now we're almost at the end of this amazing conversation. I want you to just speak from your heart. What does mean life for you?
Life just means, I don't know. I just like to, in a way, live like every day like it's my last. Because, like I said, tomorrow's not promised. Another thing is that I know sometimes we can say like life isn't fair or that why is this happening to me? But I always think that there's somebody else who's worse than you, who's in a worse situation, who maybe, I remember since I was little, my mom used to tell me, be thankful that you have your legs. Be thankful that you can see, that you can smell, that you can taste, all these things. So for me, life is just to be thankful, enjoy it, because there's somebody who maybe doesn't have what you have that could just be simple things in your body. So for me, life is so beautiful. Always try to make the best of it because, like I said, there's 100% another person who wished they was in your shoes. As bad as you might think you have it, there's somebody else who wished that they had a life that you have, that has the family that you have, that has two parents, who has, a brother or whatever. So enjoy what you have because those are gifts and blessings that sometimes, since it's so normal to us, we just kind of ignore and take advantage of. So yeah, just enjoy every single life. Enjoy the small things that you have in life and make the best of it. Go make memories. Go have fun. Go talk to somebody in the street. Go make somebody smile. Just enjoy it because you never know the impact you can also have on other people.
Thank you so much, Marcos, because can I tell you, this boy has made me smile. This boy has made me, face challenges, but with a strength, with faith, with courage. You have allowed me to keep moving, to see my dreams coming, so close to me and continue growing in my faith. So thank you, because I know that you know all these things, but I want people to know that we can build good relationships with our kids, no matter the age, no matter the situation, no matter how far they are, because we are part of their lives. It's all about also open our hearts, create consciousness, and truly, truly understand that connection is important. More in these days where people are disconnected. But when you decide that your family is important, your kids are important, your business is important, you need to always embrace honestly that opportunity that you have to express yourself, to continue building, especially building relationships. So just at the end of this chapter, I just want you to know something. You're always more than welcome, Marcos. Muchísimas gracias. Sabes que te amo, que te admiro mucho, de verdad, y que me has ayudado a ser una mejor persona y una mejor ser humano. Now, just anything that you want to say to the young people, try there.
Pues en español e inglés.
En donde quieras.
Pues mira, lo voy a decir en español. Disfruten la vida, disfruten los regalos que tienen. Hagan amistades, o sea, estamos en la mejor etapa de nuestras vidas, créalo o no. O sea, nunca vas a tener esta juventud otra vez. Entonces, haz las memorias que después puedes contarles a tus hijos en el futuro, de que cómo eras, ¿no? Porque pues, como decimos, como yo digo, es la primera vez que estamos viviendo esta vida. Tu vida no tiene que ser perfecta, no tienes que tener ya todo, o sea, no tienes que saber ya todo escrito, saber qué vas a hacer en el futuro, pero es parte del proceso y disfruta el proceso. O sea, nada bien viene rápido, ¿me explico? Entonces, disfruta, no sé, si es algo diferente este día, pues, o sea, celébralo, porque decides hacer otra cosa diferente, ¿me explico? Entonces, poco a poco, tú sigue adelante, disfruta la vida. ¿Qué te digo?
No, muchísimas gracias, Marcos. Sí. Has been really a pleasure. We're talking Spanish, English here, and I wanted to share something that came to my mind before we end. I love languages, and when he was a child, I always speak in Italian to him and send it the messages. And I remember when you told me, Mom, I want to speak in Spanish, and the Italian is coming into my mind. And those moments, you say, right now is again, everything that you want and you can teach to your children, do it, because you are deposit knowledge, experiences, wisdom into their lives. And at the end of the day, they will be very, they will be beneficial. It will be beneficial in their lives, but especially values. I want to end this conversation by saying, love is important. Love them anyway, even if there are mistakes, even if there are going to be trials. Love heals, as I always say. And something else, be grateful. Because when we become grateful in life for the little things, for the big things, for the trials in life, it shapes our lives in many different ways and gives us the opportunity to always embrace life with gratitude. So thank you so much, Marcus. It was a pleasure to have you here. I love you. Y te admiro mucho. Thank you so much. And see you next time in Vive, y CRECE con Atala.